This is my favorite sandwich. It's one of those sandwiches that if it was in a movie, you would see it and go, oh, someone should make that. And then at the end, when they pull it apart, all the ingredients are perfectly arranged and you can see how beautiful it is. This is a whispering sandwich. I want to tell you how I discovered this sandwich because the story is really cool. So I spent 3 years living in this little village in Italy, and there was a restaurant near my house that I had never been to. And one day I finally went with some friends. And when we got there, it was empty. There were like 2 other couples inside. It was completely empty. And we sat down and we ordered some drinks. Then we started looking at the menu. And the menu was just full of sandwiches. Like this place only serves sandwiches. But they were very creative sandwiches. They had a tuna sandwich that came with avocado and mango. They had a salami sandwich that came with grapes. They had a chicken sandwich that came with ricotta and lemon peel. And I was looking through this menu and I was like, oh my god, like these combinations sound so strange, but maybe really good. And I wanted to try everything because none of the sandwiches were over €8. So I was like, great, I can afford to try everything. So I started ordering a bunch of sandwiches. And one of the sandwiches that I ordered was this sandwich here, the Whispering Sandwich. And it comes with speck, which is like a smoked ham from the mountains. It comes with mozzarella radicchio, which is a very bitter red Italian lettuce, and it has a pesto sauce. And the first bite of this sandwich was like nothing I'd ever tasted before. It was so perfectly constructed. The flavors were exactly what I needed. It was salty and it was savory and it had this really nice crunch to it. And I was sitting there eating it and I was like, oh my god, I have to know how they made this sandwich. So I asked the waiter if he could tell me how they made the Whispering Sandwich and he said, would you like me to ask the chef? And I said, yes please. And so he went into the back and he came out and he says you can come into the kitchen and watch him make it. So I was sitting there eating my sandwich thinking, wow, this place is amazing. They let you do whatever you want. So I went into the kitchen and there was this chef who looked like he was in his late 70s and he had this big white mustache. And he was making the sandwich right in front of me and he showed me how he thinly slices the bread, how he puts the pesto right on top of the bread, how he puts the ingredients in a very particular order. And he told me that the secret to the sandwich is that he uses a specific type of mozzarella that is not a fresh mozzarella, it's actually a shelf-stable mozzarella that you can find in any grocery store in Italy. And he also told me that he gets the recipe for the sandwich from his grandmother, Nonna Maria, which is where the name of the sandwich comes from. So today I am making the Whispering Sandwich inspired by Nonna Maria. And I'm going to show you how it's made. You will need a sharp knife. You will need a cutting board. You will need a rolling pin and a serrated bread knife. Now the first thing that you're going to need is obviously bread. I found some beautiful Tuscan bread at my local Italian grocery store. And I'm going to slice the bread in half. Now while I'm slicing the bread, I want to talk about the story of Nonno Mario. Because when I asked the chef about the origins of the sandwich, he told me that the recipe originally came from his mother, Nonna Maria. And she used to make this sandwich for him when he was a kid and he would always ask her, why does this sandwich taste so good? And she would say, it's because I put a lot of love into it. And he told me that she was a very simple woman, but she was very smart. She knew how to make amazing food with very simple ingredients. And the reason why she added ingredients like grapes or mango or avocado to her sandwiches is because she liked to surprise people. She liked to surprise them with new flavors. And that's what makes this sandwich so special to me. It's because it's a testament to Nonna Maria and her philosophy of cooking. So when you make this sandwich, think about Nonna Maria and how she surprised people with her unique flavor combinations. Now I have 2 pieces of bread and I'm going to put them on this cutting board. The next thing that I'm going to need is the filling for the sandwich. And the first ingredient is mozzarella. Now you want to use a mozzarella that you can find in your grocery store. It is a shelf-stable mozzarella, meaning that it doesn't need to be refrigerated. And you want to get one that is a nice size so that you can cover the entire piece of bread. I've never seen this brand before, so I'm not sure if it's available outside of Italy, but it looks like it's an Italian brand. So hopefully you can find something similar at your local grocery store. If you don't want to use mozzarella, you can actually use provolone. The chef told me that you can actually use either ingredient, so I'm gonna cut around the mozzarella so that it fits the shape of the bread. Now the next ingredient that you're gonna need is speck. Speck is a lightly salted and smoked ham that comes from northern Italy. It has a really nice smoky flavor, but it's not as strong as prosciutto. Now I am using speck because that's what the original recipe calls for, but if you can't find speck, you can use prosciutto. I am going to cut the speck into little cubes so that it fits nicely on top of the mozzarella. You want to have enough speck to cover most of the mozzarella. Now we're going to move on to the next ingredient, which is radicchio. Radicchio is a really bitter Italian red lettuce. It has a really nice crunch to it and it adds a nice freshness to the sandwich. Now radicchio comes pre-washed, so all you have to do is dry it and then start cutting it. Now you can either cut the radicchio finely or you can cut it into little cubes like I am doing. The nice thing about radicchio is that it bleeds less. When you cut it, it doesn't turn black, so you can be really rough with it. But if you are worried about it bleeding, you can always wrap it in a paper towel before you cut it. And then once you cut it, you can take off the paper towel and it won't have any juice on it. Now that we have the radicchio, we are going to put it on top of the speck and we are going to put it all on top of the mozzarella. I'm going to distribute it evenly. And then the next thing that I'm going to need is some sort of condiment. In the original sandwich, they didn't use any sort of condiment. They just used a really nice pesto. But I feel like this sandwich needs a little bit of acidity, so I'm going to use some sort of condiment. I usually have this condiment on tap in my fridge. It's a really nice mix of different mustards. It's sweet and spicy and it goes well with pretty much everything. And now we're ready to assemble the sandwich. We're going to put the pesto on the bottom piece of bread. I'm just going to spread it out evenly. And then we're going to put the filling on top of the pesto. And then we're going to put the top piece of bread on top. And then we're going to press down gently. Now we're ready to cut the sandwich. You want to use a serrated knife to cut the sandwich. You don't want to use a regular knife because the bread will just smash. And you want to make sure that your knife is really sharp so that you get a really clean cut. I'm going to cut the sides of the sandwich so that it's nice and neat. And then I'm going to cut it in half diagonally. You could eat the sandwich as it is, but I'm going to show you how I like to serve it. I'm going to go get some arugula. Arugula has a really nice peppery flavor and it goes well with the bitterness of the radicchio. It also has a really nice texture. So I am going to put the sandwich on this plate and I am going to add some arugula. And then I'm going to add another sandwich on top. And then I'm going to add some more arugula. You want to add enough arugula to cover the entire plate. And then you can add anything else you want. I'm going to add some roasted cherry tomatoes. Roasted cherry tomatoes have a really nice intense flavor. They're sweeter than regular cherry tomatoes and they last longer. So if you have time, I recommend roasting your own cherry tomatoes. But if you don't, just use regular cherry tomatoes. And then I'm going to finish with some extra virgin olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil adds a nice richness to the sandwich and it helps to bring all the flavors together. It also adds a nice shiny finish to the plate. This sandwich is best served the same day that you make it. It will keep in the fridge for up to 3 days, but the flavors will start to fade after a few hours. If you want to make this sandwich ahead of time, I recommend making the filling ahead of time and then assembling the sandwich the day of. This sandwich is perfect for lunch. It's also great for a light dinner. It's very easy to make, but it's impressive enough to serve to guests. It's a great way to use up leftover bread. If you enjoyed this recipe, you might also enjoy my arancini recipe or my pizza bianca recipe.